Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for opening day of the Keeneland Spring Meet, Thursday, April the 4th, opening a day earlier than usual with a turf sprint stake, the Palisades Turf Sprint, to headline the 8-race card. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, and we're going to bring you a podcast for each racing day this spring. Take a look at the stake or stakes and the late pick four each racing day. Now, the pick four starts in the 5th race with this card. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's go to the stake, Jim. It's the Palisades Turf Sprint, as I said, and this has a full field, and this is not graded, but I don't know how long it takes to, I forget how long it takes to get graded, but whenever it is eligible, it will get graded.
This one will certainly help us. There's no doubt about that. We added this. This is a brand new stakes race this year with the extra day. We needed to put a stakes race on opening day, and this is what we came up with for 3-year-olds, 5.5 furlongs, and we wound up getting the top 2 finishers out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint last year. So Chelsea Cloisters, the 13, who ran second, and 12 Bulletin, who ran first. And then you've got another number of other contenders. And it's almost like when we drew the race, we put those horses on the outside to make this race even. So you've got the best horses on the outside.
Give you one heads up. We did an interview with Wesley Ward for the Today at Keeneland show for opening day. And Chelsea Cloisters is likely to scratch, as is Hawaiian Noises. He had Hawaiian Noises entered in case it came off the turf, and Chelsea Cloisters in case it became soft. And so he's going to go just with one of his 3 in there, according to what Wesley told us when we taped that interview. So Factor that in, and tell me who you like in the Palisades.
Well, I like Bulletin, the 12 horse coming off the win last year. I mean, he's done everything they asked him to do out of City Zip. His 5.5 furlongs seems to be right down his alley. The 12 hole concerns me in a 5.5 furlong sprint here on the turf, but I like Bulletin to win it. I think Yes, I Am Free for Mark Cassie is 2 for 2. Has done nothing wrong. The one horse, and probably won't get to the lead from there, but as you know, like I say, 2 for 2. Cassie gets ready. Didn't race as a 2-year-old, so he's already proven his 3-year-old form. I think Vote, the 5 horse for Asmussen and Florent Giroux, has a lot of upside, along with Real News, who just beat him by nose last time out at Fairgrounds. So both the 5 and the 6 have to be considered. Gladiator King, the winner of the Hutchison, has raced well on turf and dirt, so moves from that Grade 3 win to a turf. And then Abyssinian for Wesley Ward is probably going to be the one that he leaves in, and that horse is just blew the doors off a $75,000 optional claimer at Gulfstream last out. So lots of ways to go in here. Going to say Bulletin's going to win, but certainly not a single when we get to the Big Four.
I am going to go with the filly, Ward's filly, Abyssinian. In that interview, he said that he had been pointing for this race all along. I thought maybe when the horse ran so big in the first start of the year and first time on turf with an 87 buyer, I thought maybe that prompted him to come here, but this was the target all along, and he thinks she's going to be a Royal Ascot horse for him. So he is really high on this one. So with Johnny V in the saddle, I'm going to take this horse to beat the boys, in part because she's got a little better post position than Bulletin, and the other one I like, Strike Silver, who ran a huge race here on the Keeneland Turf Course last fall. I really liked that horse a lot in the Breeders' Cup race and didn't fire that day, but off that effort at Keeneland, I think it's got a big shot. Talked to trainer Joe Sharp as well. That's for one of our Keeneland social media interviews, and he says just draw a line through the race last time was kind of an experiment, and that he thinks on the numbers Vivid Verse stacks up pretty well with this group. And then Vote is the other one I'm going to throw in. And Jeremy Plonk does a lot of analysis with regard to track trends at Keeneland on the dirt and the turf course. You can find those at the Keeneland.com handicappers page. And I always make note of this one, that he calls them the power posts in these full field turf sprints. 3, 4, and 5 outperform what the expectation would be for those post positions. So I'm going to throw Vote in there because all 3 of those horses are prices, and I think Vote looks to be the best of the 3. So I don't think it's probably he's a great win pick, but I think could light up maybe a trifecta. So you might want to take a look at that one. So Abyssinian for me in the Palisades. Let's go to the 5th race and talk about the pick 4 ticket. You got a big favorite in that first leg, Instilled Regard for Chad Brown, 6-5 on the morning line.
Yeah, I'm gonna use Instilled Regard, but I'm also going to use a horse that's shipping here from California. Instilled Regard is going to be the big favorite, probably going to be even money or maybe a little bit better in a big field. But Instilled Regard, of course, ran in the Derby last year, knocked me out of my superfecta, beat my boy Jack by about half a length or something, and lit up the superfecta for $19,000. I will never forgive him for that. But they put him on the turf at Hollywood Derby and ran really good, running behind Raging Bull and River Boyne. So I think Instilled Regard is a solid choice here. I'm also going to use the 11-horse Selwood, shipping for Jeff Mullins from Santa Anita. They targeted this race after this horse has won 2 in a row out there on a good turf course one time and taken off the turf and ran on dirt. So very consistent, almost broke its maiden at Santa Anita back in October, and then almost at Del Mar. So this horse has been good now for at least 4 races in a row. They're shipping over here, probably not for their health. So I think this is a good spot for Selwood to possibly pull off an upset. So I'm going to use 2-11 in the first leg. Second leg is the 6th race is a 1.16 allowance optional claimer for $75,000. Going to go deep here with Eulalie the 1, Shacklet the 5, Remarkable Soul the 9, High Regard the 11, stumbled at the start of the Devona Dale, and then 12, Kettle Valley for Brandon Walsh going turf to dirt. So I'm going to go 5 deep there, 1, 5, 9, 11, 12. In the feature race that we talked about, I'm going to substitute, since we found out that Chelsea Cloisters is likely scratching. I'm going to put your horse Strike Silver in with mine. So I'm going to go 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12. So yes, I am free. Vote, the horse you talked about, Real News, the 6, Gladiator King, the 8, Abyssinian, the 9, Strike Silver, the 11, and Bulletin, the 12. Leaves me a little bit of money to play in the last race, and I'm going to go 2 deep. That's a tough claiming race in the 8th, and I'm going to go 6-9 there, with the 6 horse being my top pick, 5-star factor for Ron Moquette. He always seems to get his horses ready to run at Keeneland. But Impanema Beach for Ben Colebrook, first time for Ben Colebrook, and he strikes at a 29% rate on first-time starters for him. In his barn, at a $20,000 claim, the cheapest this horse has ever run for. So to recap, I go 2-11 with 1, 5, 9, 11, 12, with 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, with 6, 9, and I think that's a $70 ticket for 50 cents.
All right, let's go to the 5th race for me. I'm going to single Instilled Regard, take a stand there with Chad Brown. Then I'm going to go 6 deep in the allowance race, the 6th, 1, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12. I think this is really wide open, and I don't really like the 12 post position, but I like the Beyer figure jump to 71 in the first start for July for this 12 horse, and Brendan Walsh, sharp trainer, and James Graham's ridden Keeneland a lot, and this horse comes from off the pace, so I'm going to count on Graham to try to work out a trip. So I think Kettle Valley's an interesting long shot there, but I think it's wide open. So using 6 there, I'm going to go 3 deep in the Palisades with the 9, 11, 12, Abyssinian, Strike Silver, and Bulletin, and then I will go 5 deep in the last leg with the 4, 6, 7, 9, and 14. And the 14, Faith Healer, I thought was an interesting price play, but may not draw in. So if you get the 14 to scratch and the others all go, I think it's a $36 ticket. And then if you do end up with 5 in the last leg, it'll go up to $45 if there's 5 in there. So 45 at the worst is what it's going to cost you for a 50-cent ticket. And if I'm wrong on Instilled Regard, well, then you can start playing pick 3s to try to get your money back.
There's always something else. Pick
Yes.
3s, doubles, and super high 5s.
And the pick 5, it's an early start with an 8-race card, so the pick 5 starts in the 4th race, and that means there's a early pick 4 overlap to the late pick 4 in the 5th on an 8-race card. And the other thing Jim would remind folks about is the Keeneland Select Appreciation Day for our listeners here to this podcast each week. Keeneland Select Appreciation Day is a week from Sunday, the 14th, and just tell them a little bit about what is going on, and do they need to sign up in advance?
We do. If you shoot us an email, I think if you'll email Mark Brown, mbrown@Keeneland.com, that would be the best way to get in right now. You should have gotten an email in the mail with a return email address. If you discarded that, just email Mark, and we can get you in there. It is the 14th. We're going to give away some betting vouchers. We're going to have a handicapping seminar hosted by Mr. Leach. We're going to have Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, he's
who won
good.
the NHC Tour 3 years ago, and he's one of the best guys out there. Young guy from Texas who's a big handicapper.
Real
and
engaging
really
guy.
player.
Yeah, really interesting guy. We'll get some Derby opinions from him too.
There's one thing about it. He always has opinions,
yes.
and he's really good. Also going to give away a 65-inch flat screen TV. So come out to the Keeneland Select Appreciation Day. We'll take good care of you. Got your grandstand seats for a good day of racing on the 14th, the day after the Coomore Jenny Wiley. So that's a great weekend of racing once we get past the Bluegrass weekend, which is kind of crazy for us. So it's a little more relaxed weekend. The second weekend, we can take really good care of you.
More podcasts coming up for each day of the spring meet. For now, we'll wish you best of luck on the opening day card at Keeneland.